What a big couple of months it is for British boxing. We've got Haye Harrison, of course, and Derek Chisora will get a shot at the heavyweight title after lining up a fight with IBF and WBO champion Vladimir Klitschko. Let's get live to Craig Slater, who's at a central London hotel ahead of their news conference today. Craig, first up, how big is the gulf in class between the two fighters?
It's absolutely massive, you have to say. In every area of their careers, Vladimir Klitschko's achievements hugely outstrip Derek Chisora's. We have independent world rankings these days in boxing. Vladimir Klitschko is the world's #1. He has been the world's #1 for about 5 years now. When I looked this morning, Derek Chisora is listed as 25th in the world, and that's pretty generous in my view for him. He's still only a 14-fight career novice, if you like. Look at the titles they have. Derek Chisora, British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion. Yes, that's good at this stage of his career. Vladimir Klitschko, a double world champion, IBF and WBO world champion. Derek Chisora, he's only been a professional for 3 years. Vladimir Klitschko was a world champion 10 years ago. You can even look at their amateur achievements as well. Derek Chisora, ABA heavyweight champion, English amateur champion in effect, British amateur champion. He was Four Nations champion. Vladimir Klitschko, Olympic gold medalist in the super heavyweight division in Atlanta back in 1996. So on paper, it looks like a mismatch, but of course, fights aren't won and lost on paper, they're won and lost in the ring.
So, is there any chance for Chisora then? As you say, the stats, the rankings are totally against him.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you have to really only give him a marginal chance, but of course he does have some hope, and he'll go in there with plenty of confidence as well. And it is worth noting that Vladimir Klitschko has been beaten 3 times in his career. Early in his career, he was stopped, knocked out by little more than a circuit fighter, a sparring partner for a lot of the leading guys, an American heavyweight called Ross Purity. His last defeat was 6 years ago in a world title fight against Lamont Brewster. Lamont Brewster trained by Shadid Saluki, who's Audley Harrison's trainer at the moment. So when they get into town next Tuesday, it might be worth Derek Chisora's while having a little chat to him about what tactics he should maybe use. But I remember back in 2003 witnessing at ringside one of Vladimir Klitschko's 3 career defeats. Now that was against a South African heavyweight called Corey Sanders, a southpaw, and it was an absolutely disastrous night for Vladimir Klitschko. He was knocked down 4 times in total over the 2 rounds. The fight took place in Hanover in front of 16,000 Klitschko fanatic Germans. There was about 8 South Africans there, but Corey Sanders, completely unheralded at the time, 37 years of age. He was almost in semi-retirement around that point in his career. He was spending most of his time on the golf course. He was a good friend of Ernie Els, but he came in there, unsettled Vladimir Klitschko early on. Vladimir Klitschko walked onto a succession of left hooks. He was knocked down twice in the first round, knocked down again twice in the second round, and really his powers of recovery didn't look very impressive at all. He hardly really got himself back together again, and as you saw there, the referee waved it off. So you would think maybe Derek Chisora's best hope in this fight is to maybe gamble on hitting a home run early, if you like. Maybe if he can use some nimble footwork to get inside that 81-inch reach of Vladimir Klitschko, he might be able to land a heavy shot early, and maybe there are still some doubts about Vladimir Klitschko's chin.
There was talk that it would be David Haye, Craig, who'd be the next Brit into the ring with a Klitschko. It isn't, though. It's Chisora, and Haye gets Harrison instead. But what's Haye made of it all?
Yeah. Well, that's been David Haye's stated ambition since he moved up to heavyweight, was to get at a fight with one or both of the Klitschkos. I spoke to him yesterday, as you said. Now, what he says is, I'm not going to sign just any kind of contract to get into a fight with one of the Klitschkos, and he has some quite strict stipulations now that he is a world champion himself. He wants to lay down some terms to the Klitschkos, business terms under which he's prepared to take the fight. Now, one of those, it seems to be now, is that he wants the television money divided on national boundaries. He wants to keep the UK television money, and he says that the Klitschkos are welcome to all the German television money, but the UK television money potentially is so much more lucrative than the kind of German deal that the Klitschkos are locked into at the moment, that isn't acceptable to K2 Promotions, who handle all of the Klitschko's business. So that's why it's fallen through up to this point. David did say to me yesterday he'd love it if Derek Chisora could come through and win this. But does he give him much hope? As I say, he's only a 14-fight career novice, so you know, maybe it has just come a little bit too early for him.
I'd love to be fighting him, but it'd have to be it's not about just getting in the ring and fighting someone. There's so much more to making a unification fight than me wanting to get in there. I've wanted to fight him for ages. He's fighting Derek Chisora because Derek Chisora will sign whatever contract you put in front of him. Because he's had 14 fights, he hasn't really earned his right to fight for the title. Knowing me, I know what I did to earn the right. You know, I was the undisputed cruiserweight champion. I then fought Monty Barrett, who was a top 10 fighter. You know, that's what gave me my opportunity. He hasn't fought any top 10 fighters. He hasn't fought for the European title. He hasn't fought anyone who's in European level yet. Now he's got a crack at the title. So for him, yeah, great. You know, he hasn't done anything to deserve it. So it's pretty much a shortcut to challenge for the title. I don't give him much chance of winning. Hopefully he can, but he hasn't done anything in any of his fights that I've seen to suggest that he should be able to fight at the fight at the world elite level.
That's right. That's right. He really doesn't have that international experience. You know, he's operated really at a British and Commonwealth level, and only recently at that level, it has to be said, Derek Chisora. But you know, it would be wonderful. It'd be a real fairy tale story if he'd go ahead and beat the Klitschkos, because you know, he is a great character. But we'll have to see. A huge, tall order it really is for him.
Craig, thanks very much for now. We'll be back for that at news conference 11:10 in central London. And to mark your card, Vladimir Klitschko will be a guest on tonight's Ringside. That's from 9 o'clock over on Sky Sports HD1.